She said she was at Bible study, until I saw her in a jacuzzi with 3 guys, and my sister. You know how sometimes life just sucker punches you so hard that for a few seconds you actually think you're dreaming? That's exactly what this felt like, because out of all the betrayals, all the lies I thought I might one day face in a relationship, nothing could have prepared me for that image burned into my brain. Her, the woman I thought was devout, the one who'd look me in the eyes and talk about faith, scripture and morals, half submerged in steaming water laughing with 3 guys I didn't recognize, while my own sister sat there like it was the most casual thing in the world. Let me rewind, because you need to understand how twisted this got. She and I had been together for almost 2 years, not perfect years, but solid. We went to church together on Sundays, we volunteered at community events, she led small groups sometimes, talking about devotion and humility, and I remember sitting in the back thinking, man, I'm lucky to have someone this grounded. And when she'd tell me on Wednesday nights that she had Bible study, I didn't think twice. She'd grab her notebook, a pen, maybe a highlighted Bible, kiss me goodbye, and say, pray for me, and I always did. For months this was our rhythm. Work, life, and every Wednesday she'd be in the Word. Until the night I left my wallet at her place. I was on my way home from work when I realized it was missing. I remembered pulling it out earlier in the day at her apartment, paying for takeout, then setting it on the counter. So I swung by her building around 8 that night, figuring I'd catch her after her study group. Her car was in the lot. Lights were on upstairs, but when I knocked, no one answered. I pulled out my phone to call her. She didn't pick up. Odd, but I figured maybe she was still deep in group discussion. So I walked around back. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe just impatience. And that's when I heard laughter. Not polite, church group laughter. Drunken, reckless laughter. I followed the sound and there it was, the apartment complex jacuzzi bubbling under the night sky. And there she sat, my girlfriend, the woman who claimed to be dissecting Psalms every Wednesday night in a bikini I'd never seen before, pressed between 3 guys with beers in their hands. And then, like the universe really wanted to twist the knife, I saw my sister, my little sister, sitting at the edge, sipping from a cup, giggling along like she'd known about this the whole time. I froze. My brain refused to connect the dots. I kept thinking maybe it wasn't her, maybe it wasn't my sister, but the more I stared, the more undeniable it became. Her laugh, her gesture, the way my sister brushed wet hair from her face. It was them. No mistake. I should have walked away right then. Should have turned and left before they noticed. But my legs carried me closer, almost against my will, and just as I stepped into the glow of the pool lights, she saw me. Her smile vanished, her eyes widened. The beer bottle slipped from her hand into the water. My sister gasped. One of the guys muttered, "Uh-oh." I stood there, every muscle tight, my voice somehow calm. "Bible study, huh?" Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The steam from the jacuzzi swirled around us, and in that moment it felt like I was watching strangers. Finally she stammered, "It's not what it looks like." I laughed, short and bitter. "Really? Because it looks exactly like what it is. You in a jacuzzi with 3 guys and my sister while I'm at home thinking you're studying scripture." My sister whispered my name, trying to calm me, but I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at any of them, without feeling like my chest was being ripped open. She climbed out, dripping water, wrapping a towel around herself. She reached for me, pleading, "I was going to tell you. I needed a break from all the pressure. I needed to feel free." "Free?" I snapped. "You needed to feel free, so you lied about God, lied about faith. You used Bible study as a cover for this." Her lip trembled. "It was just fun. It didn't mean anything, but it meant everything to me." That night was the beginning of the unraveling. I didn't explode, didn't throw punches, didn't drag my sister out of there even though I wanted to. I just turned and walked away, leaving her dripping on the pavement, leaving my sister in that bubbling mess, leaving my sister in that bubbling mess, leaving myself with 1,000 questions I didn't want answers to. And as much as that scene broke me, it also woke me up, because in that moment I realized I hadn't just been lied to. I'd been played with her words, her supposed faith, her carefully curated image, and the worst part, she hadn't done it alone. My own sister had been part of it. In the days that followed, the lies started peeling back like old wallpaper. Every excuse, every study night, every late return, It all lined up with those jacuzzi nights. And the more I pieced together, the more I realized this wasn't new. It had been going on for months. I'd been the fool in the story everyone else already knew. But here's the thing about betrayal. It changes you. At first it breaks you. But then if you let it, it sharpens you. And I wasn't going to just sit in silence while they rewrote the story of my life. No, if she wanted freedom, if she wanted her little jacuzzi fellowship, then she was about to see what real exposure felt like. Walking away from that jacuzzi was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the smartest. Because if I'd stayed, I would have said things I couldn't take back. Maybe I would have swung at one of those guys. Maybe I would have dragged my sister out of there by the arm. Instead, I chose silence. Cold, heavy silence. And silence, I learned, is powerful. It makes people stew in their own guilt. But the silence only lasted until the next morning. She showed up at my apartment unannounced, hair wet like she hadn't bothered drying it, face pale, eyes swollen from crying. She stood in the doorway clutching her Bible of all things, as if holding scripture might shield her from what she'd done. "Please, can we talk?" she whispered. I let her in, but I didn't invite her to sit. She hovered awkwardly, shifting her weight, biting her lip. Finally she blurted out, "It was a mistake. Last night. I swear it wasn't what it looked like." I raised an eyebrow. So 3 guys, alcohol, my sister and a jacuzzi wasn't what it looked like. Her tears spilled again. It was just hanging out, just blowing off steam. Nothing happened. I almost laughed. Nothing happened. You lied about where you were, who you were with, what you were doing, and you call that nothing. She reached for me, but I stepped back. "You don't understand," she said desperately. "I've been so lost." I said I was finding myself, but really I was trying to escape. "And when your sister invited me, my sister," I cut her off, voice sharp. So she knew. She was in on this the whole time. Her silence was the answer. The rage inside me shifted then. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about my own blood, my sister, standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers, while I sat at home praying for a woman who was lying through her teeth. That night, I called my sister. She didn't pick up. She texted instead, "Please, let's not make this bigger than it is." That one sentence nearly broke me. Not bigger than it is, like this was some misunderstanding, some small slip, something we could sweep under the rug. But no, this was betrayal squared. Betrayal from the woman I loved, and the sister I trusted. For days I wrestled with myself. Do I confront them together? Do I tell my family? Do I let it die quietly and cut them both out? My anger screamed for revenge, but another part of me, the part that had been humiliated in public, wanted something cleaner, something undeniable. So I waited, and while I waited, I gathered screenshots of their Bible study group texts that were really jacuzzi invitations, photos from other nights I hadn't known about, a pattern that showed this wasn't a one-time slip, but a routine. Then came Sunday, church service. I walked in late, sat in the back, watched her stand there singing hymns with her hands raised high like she was pure as snow. My sister was a few rows ahead, swaying to the music, mouthing words she clearly didn't believe, and something in me snapped. After service, when people gathered in the fellowship hall, chatting, laughing, sipping coffee, I made my move. I walked up to her. "So when's the next Bible study?" "Wednesday." My tone was casual, but my eyes cut sharp. A few people overheard, turned their heads. Her face went pale. She stammered, "Why, yeah, Wednesday. Jacuzzi or living room this time?" I asked, louder now. Conversations around us died. Heads swiveled. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No words came. My sister rushed over, hissing, "Stop it. You're making a scene." I turned to her. "No, you made the scene. You sat there while she lied, while you let me believe she was studying scripture, when really she was sitting half naked with 3 guys, and you expected me to stay quiet, to protect you." The room buzzed with whispers. Faces changed. Shock, judgment, pity, and suddenly their carefully crafted image cracked. She started crying. My sister looked furious, but I didn't care. I'd carried this weight alone too long. It was time for the truth to breathe. I didn't scream. I just looked them both in the eye and said, "You found your version of Bible study. Congratulations. but don't ever expect me to pray for you again. And I walked out. The fallout came fast. Word spread. Friends from church texted me, some apologetic, some disgusted at them, some just stunned. My sister tried to spin it, saying I'd exaggerated, that it was harmless fun. But the screenshots I quietly released told the real story. My girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, now stopped showing up at services. People whispered behind her back. Her new friends disappeared when the spotlight turned harsh. As for me, I cut ties. With her, with my sister, with anyone who thought betrayal was something to laugh off. I rebuilt my life. Slowly, piece by piece, without. And here's the thing. Betrayal doesn't just show you who they are. It shows you who you are. I thought I was the kind of man who'd explode, who'd lose control, but I learned I'm the kind of man who waits, who gathers truth, who lets the truth do the work for me. She said she was at Bible study. What she really studied was how to lie with a straight face. And what I learned that sometimes the holiest thing you can do is walk away with your head high, leaving them to drown in the jacuzzi of their own choices.